Good evening. A very warm welcome to one and all that are for sparing your precious and being a part of this webinar organized by Nanoland Limited, co-organized by LD College of Engineering and Xavier's Research Foundation, IP support HK Acharya and Company. I am Jalashri Dave, your host for this webinar and a part of Nanoland Limited. Today, diverse scientific research fields on learning, solar energy, ideas, innovations, and economy. Now, moving forward, I would like to give a brief about our organizer, co-organizers, and sponsors. Nanoland Limited. Nanoland Limited is an eminent research organization based in Ahmedabad. We are mainly focused on climate change, clean energy, and sustainable development. Affiliated with us who work day and night studying the various parameters of Earth and its components. LD College of Engineering. Lal Dalpat Bhai College of Engineering, Ahmedabad is a premier government engineering institute in Gujarat, set with the objectives of engineering and technology. The institute is affiliated to Gujarat Technological University, Ahmedabad. Xavier's Research Foundation. The Xavier's Research Foundation, XRF, Trust runs the Loyola Center of Research and Development, an autonomous institute which was established in the year 1987 in St. Xavier's College, Ahmedabad. The center not only employs scientific staff dedicated to research, but also provides infrastructural support and expertise to students working on the frontline research fields in environmental microbiology and plant biotechnology. The mission of the center is to target grassroots communities on the fringes of our economy through innovation, training, and hand-holding. Our sponsors, Ranger. Ranger is also an entity specialized in manufacturing automated solar panel cleaning devices based in Ahmedabad and electromagnetic water condition that helps in softening of water. Our next sponsor, Rotary Club of Ahmedabad Elite, is an active club of Rotary International finding solutions by serving the society. The club is actively working in various sectors, including environment, education, and women healthcare development. This club has been serving it since 2010 with various prominent facilities from the city. Full support to Rotary Club of Ahmedabad Elite for their noble cause. By respected late Sri Hari Prasad Acharya. We are an exclusive IP boutique. Rajesh Kumar Acharya marked the presence in global market by having offices in various countries, that is Ahmedabad, Rajkot, Morbi, Mumbai, Vadodara, and Bangalore, Mountain View, USA, Germantown, USA, Toronto, Canada, Fenshu in China, and Toledo in Japan. Thank you, our organizer, co-organizers, and sponsors for facilitating this event. So, may I please welcome our dignitaries on the dais. Dr. Rajesh Kumar Acharya, Chief Scientific Advisor at Nanoland Limited. Dr. Bela Talwar, Chairperson USIIC, US India Importers Council US Chapter. Dr. Bharat Maitreya, Professor at Department of Botany, Bioinformatics and Climate Change School of Science, Gujarat University. Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Vice President CLP India. Mr. Mishra is a visiting faculty at Pandit Ravishankar Shukla University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Mr. Othman Burhan. Mr. Othman works as an environmental officer at the Department of Environment and Climate Change, Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce and welcome Dr. Rajesh Kumar Acharya, Chief Scientific is engaged in a lot of research work on climate change and has consistently guided his research association in speculation past what a normal individual could think. Our guest.
Thank you, Jalashri. Good evening, from India to all of you. I said from India because it is evening in India, but we have the audience and speakers from different countries. We have Dr. Talwar from USA. First of all, I welcome each one of you for joining this webinar on solar energy, ideas, innovation, and economics. These various aspects of solar energy, which we are going to discuss today. Before few years back, we were using the solar power for cooking by making solar cooker. And we were heating something outside in the solar energy. Now we know that we can use this energy at many, many places. And it is an alternative energy for tomorrow because now we have all the countries are connected with each other in many ways. And our Indian Prime Minister came out with an idea that all the countries on the equator, they are joined and they make a network for solar panels. Then in the other countries will not require any other source of energy for heat and for light. It is a wonderful idea and it is becoming practical day by day. I feel great proud to say that this conference has been organized by Nanoland, a prominent research organization in the field of climate change, renewable energy, and sustainable. The organization facilitates such webinars apart from research to enlighten the young minds and promote the participation of general and scientific audience at all levels. A very warm welcome to all the renowned galaxy of speakers and delegates who took out their valuable time, invested their time, and joined us today to be a part of this webinar. This webinar, it is World of Solar Power. We are honored to have you, all of you, with us. This time, the theme is based upon the theme of solar energy for tomorrow. And they should learn more and more about the solar energy. And also, they should learn about they should have the ideas, how to use the solar power. We have to do a lot of invention also in this field. But why we have to do it? It is because economy requires this. It will help the entire world by using this solar energy. It is a cheap and rather zero value. You can get it without any expense. And therefore, we have also today very renowned economist with us. She will talk about the economy of this solar energy. And it will focus on the major benefits and long-term use of the solar energy, decreasing our dependency on non-renewable resources. Because at present we are using atomic energy. It is not good. Rather, we are using coal, we are using petrol, all are creating pollutions. So this is a non-pollution creating energy. We have today Dr. Bela, who is the chair of USIIC US chapter. She is basically economist, very well-known, renowned economist. She has done doctorate in economics. Dr. Bharat Maitreya, who is a professor of, I'll say that, climate change. And Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Vice President of CLP India. Mr. Pushparai Mishra, who is visiting faculty in Pandit Ravishankar Shukla University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Ms. Supriya, who is a project engineer, National Institute of Solar Energy, Gurgaon. And we have one Mr. Oman Burthan, Environmental Officer, Department of Environment, Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar. This is a galaxy of our powerful speaker. I welcome all of you, and I open this webinar for discussion, wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this proactive introduction. Now, this session will have series of panelists giving remarkable approach in the subject matter of solar energy, ideas, innovation, and economy. So, let's start this session. I would like to welcome our first speaker of the event, Dr. Bela Talwar. Dr. Talwar is the president of American operations of H.K. Acharya and Company. She has received her formal education comprising of 3 master's degree and PhD specializing in industrial economics, marketing, and finance. She was invited by Southern State University, Connecticut for postdoctoral research. She has an experience of more than 20 years and believes that IP and global business go hand in hand. She, with her global expertise for over 20 years in global trade, provides healthy platform to startups and innovative joint venture collaboration. So now I request her to share her thoughts with us. Over to you, ma'am.
I want to thank Dr. Acharya also for the welcome note. And as an economist, it turns out to me always that whatever we do, it should have return on investments. We only understand when, let's be very honest, any business, any invention, any research ultimately comes with the topic of saying how much we are going to make return on that investment. With that conceptualization, I will share my screen and let's go to the presentation. Solar energy economic benefits. When we talk about economic benefits, I'll be talking at length, but before we really start that, I want to go a little towards the history of solar energy. When we really talk about sun, you know, the first thing that comes to us from the olden days is that we worshipped, every civilization worshipped sun as a god. And whether we talk about Egyptian, European, Mesoamerican, even in our Indian methodology, if in the Rig Vedas, we talk Guru, that was the god of sun, who was the Brahma. That was where it started. And it is said by the Sanskrit scholar, the Ravishankar, who's one of the top renowned scholars, that sun, the worshipping sun, was ever since the mankind began. And thanks to the technologies, the blessings of the god sun now, that is going to provide energy to every human being on this planet for billions of years to come. As per the US scientist, by the Union of US Concerned Scientists, in just 18 days of sunshine on Earth contains the same amount of energy as it is stored in all the planet reserves of coal, oil, and natural gases. So you can imagine the power of sun, the energy, the goodness that the sun has a power to bestow upon us. With this, let me go globally, how the solar energy is being used by the different countries. These are the list of countries who are predominantly trying to work very hard on bringing solar power as the powerful weapon to bring energy to the world, which is, the list is mentioned: Germany, China, Japan, Italy, United States, India. India is definitely now called the powerhouse in this field, working very hard on it. Some of the concentration of solar power energy in 2027 that we foresee, the red dark areas which are going to be prominently working on solar energy and are going to create the powerhouses of their own. Australia, Africa is one country which has got a very strong power with the kind of potential of solar energy that the country can gather. This is an example of that. When we talk about solar energy, US India has a very prominent role working on climate change. The strategic partnership in compliance with Paris Agreement, US India collaboration, working together for decarbonization strategy, and India for clean energy. These are the two areas US India has joined hands, and a very strong target of 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030 is what India has the potential and is ready to achieve. Both the countries want to create a global example on the economic and development of the strategy with the innovations that they are going to incorporate together in making it work. I would be discussing more of innovations that are happening in the United States, which are open to the global world. And once understanding that, one can understand what the power of the innovations in solar energy is going to be. This is innovation of where we are talking about the films, that there's going to be the silicon film that is going to be used in inkjet printer, which is going to be on the surface of all the construction, new constructions where perovskite solar cells will be on the face of every building. This probably is going to be a very futuristic proposal. The goodness of this project is going to be that the average cost of production is reducing from $2.50 per square feet to 25 cents, which cost effective, reasonable, and going to be used worldwide. The invention of hybrid device, which is developed by the University of Houston. This is a technology where, unlike the solar panels, the solar cells, the hybrid device that can store the energy, and this power can be used even when there is no sunlight or the cloudy days and other constraints are possible. Solar fabric. This is another invention which is taking up a shape, the cotton yarn. If you can see here on the screen, there is a yarn which is wrapped on the super capacitor, and these solar cells are wrapped around. The phones can be charged. The person can keep himself warm, and the fabric is going to be a futuristic innovation that is going to be coming in the market soon. One area of concentration by United States has been very predominant is solar ocean farms. They're going to be the generation of electricity is going to be the power generation going to be through. We know 3/4 of the world is ocean, and with this kind of technology, what kind of power that can be generated when these are going to be all spread out on various parts of the ocean. Solar cars, we all know that Aptera company in 2021 is planning to bring out the solar cars that is going to be used in future, and the world is looking forward for this vehicle. There are solar energy is also going to be used at night. These are the panels were specially designed so that though it's going to be 1/4 of the energy that is going to be produced, but even at night, the solar energy can be produced. These are the example of these panels. What is very impressive in technology is Soliculture's luminescent solar concentrator. This is one technology. As an economic concept, I have always felt that the world is, of course, going back to agricultural upgradation, and any economy of the world, be the developed or developing, agriculture is a very strong source of survival. And this technology not only is going to give a good green revolution on it, but is also going to store energy, which is going to be excessive energy that is going to be produced. On this slide, we can see how the red light produces the high efficiency for photosynthesis in plants. And whatever excessive energy would be stored, with that, there are ninefold, like 9 million acres of land are using this technology, and it is very cost effective in these days. One area of concentration, which of course, as an economist, I would always be appreciating talking about, and that is solar panel job opportunities. By 2030, it is anticipated that 24.4 million jobs will be created in solar energy, because B, it is panels, B, it is new technology. The earth receives more solar energy in 1 hour than the world consumes in the entire year. So you can imagine what kind of the solar optical rays, and the locations, of course, Asia and Africa, there are the very prominent locations when it comes to this power. The one organization which I want to mention here is Desert Tech Foundation. Now, this is a joint collaboration between German and Jordanian company. They are stating that they would cover 1% of the global deserts. If they are covered, then the energy can be given to the entire world. So that is what their rating is. You know, if you happen to see at this foundation work, they are doing a very prominent work globally in the field of solar energy. The companies did, I mean, if you see this slide, they are making the collaboration with them is such that they are going to be using it in a liquid form, and that can be transported from country to country where the need is. So this is Australia's Desert Tech. If you can see this, this future is very bright, where we can store energy, solar energy in this form, which will be not only can be saved and used as in one, but there'll be ample opportunities to use at your own discretion. So this is a very interesting technology. Another area where Andrew's technology has taken care of LED light for having the long life for the rechargeable batteries. This technology has been getting joint venture collaborations, and the partners are over 200 countries with global distribution. Very cost-effective houses with this kind of LED technology on the roof can give them lights. They're talking about $1 a week probably would be the cost of reliable solar energy that they are going to be, they can use it. How efficient it's going to be and how cheaper it is going to be, we are going to see that as the time comes, which are going to be even less than what $1, that is what they are forcing. One area which I would like to talk, because it is very important for any technology, whether it is solar power or any technology, to get a global recognition only when there is economies of scale. As the supply chain increases, as more and more demand factor comes in global market, the cost-effective modules for panels and other devices is coming down. They're saying it's a comparative cost from $80 in 2010. In 2019, it is $8.40. So that is where, in this chart, you can see the economies of scale, to what extent the global demand for these technologies are rising. And that is where we anticipate a lot of scope of increase in production and averaging prices to go down. These are some of the new technologies I would like to mention in brief, because US is open for these kind of technologies, and the world would like to be sharing their technocratic and investment expertise into these technologies. Light sensitive nanoparticles, which then I'm not explaining each one of them because there is a shortage of time. So I would try to explain just these are all the technologies: thin film solar, hairy solar panels, solar windows, because that instead of the other windows, they're going to be using solar windows. that can take care of the light, and there's going to be generation of energy through that. Floating panels we just talked about, and that is going to generate energy while being on the water. Future of energy market. This is one very interesting topic that requires little attention. When US has rejoined the Paris Climate Accord, investing 2 trillion in clean energy, in fully decarbonization by 2035 in order to achieve the global net zero carbon emissions. So this is what the target of United States is. And they are very much keen and very much reachable target as of the way they are working. Solar energy industry has to be dealing with actively to give electricity as the predominant factor. New battery business models emerge at both utility and residential scale. This area of concentration is very futuristic. If there are investors and technocrats who are watching this webinar, I would want this area of concentration for them to keep it in mind, because this is going to be the future of solar energy, and they can concentrate on various technologies that are coming in this field. Energy storage is becoming one of the fastest growing sector as the technologies and the use of these technologies for commercial as well as residential purposes. The renewable energy is expected to become increasingly resilient in future to come. And one concern that the world has is on the cyber attacks. And then there are a lot of research, a lot of work has been done and is doing on cyber attacks, because when we are having panels or we are having this kind of energy, of course, the cyber attacks are going to be the future. A lot of work is being done and will be done in this to check on such attacks that should be minimized. I would like solar power has one of the strongest natural resource globally that has a very strong potential and awareness. My conclusion in this would be, especially for developing economies who are keen on bringing this technology into their countries, they should keep in touch with the global inventions, and there are very cost-cutting devices that have been developed in recent times that can be very appropriate for their economies, whether it is agricultural sector or whether there is basic self-sufficiency for an economy. It's a saying that 1.5 billion people in the world still do not have electricity. So if this kind of technologies are given to those segments of society where self-sufficiency, especially after the pandemic, the countries who bring the average development for the average citizen of the country, so that they can be self-sufficient in electricity or in the basic amenities, I would call it. So on behalf of USIIC, I would recommend express to the world, and a forum like Nanoland has got on the platform, or this platform should be given to the on the global arena, where more and more participants would be able to the basic amenities of the life. With this, I would end my presentation. My details are mentioned in this slide. If you have any question on joint venture collaborations or more innovative technologies, or more of the areas where the world would like to concentrate on and say that they want to be party to these technologies, you can feel free. We can get together. It's a USIIC is the bridge to bring technocrats, investors on the global arena, so that everyone in the world can be benefited equally. With this, I would like to thank Nanoland. I would like to thank you all for participating. Stay blessed and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Over to you.
For your informative presentation. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Bharat Maitreya, second speaker of our webinar. Dr. Bharat is a professor at Department of Climate Change, School of Science, Gujarat University. He holds a PhD in Botany from Maharaja Krishna Kumar Singh Ji University, Bhavnagar. He was nominated as member of Assessment Committee for Revised Merit and Normal Assessment Scheme for Scientific and Technical Staff in Central Salt and Marine Chemical Research Institute, CSIR, Bhavnagar. Now, I request him to present his thoughts with us.
Thank you, Jalashri.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, all of you. And economy. So in this webinar, I'm thankful to Dr. Rajesh Acharya ji, Chief Scientific Advisor of Nanoland, and us this opportunity to share some knowledge, some ideas about this solar energy. So from behalf of the Gujarat University, myself, Professor Bharat Maitreya, now today I give my thoughts by sharing the slides. It's a good topic. Now the recent topics nowadays is on population, when we are thinking about and the need of the population towards this energy and its resources. So we have to try for that, and we have to innovate some in this part. So now this recent arena, the Nanoland will select these topics, and I congratulate for that. Solar energy idea, innovation, and economy. Mostly, when the sunlight, which are from this sun to the Earth's surface, and most of the lights, which are generally absorbed by the Earth's surface, and others which are reflected in atmosphere, and others, these greenhouse gases. So from that part, how can we utilize, how can we use this light into that part? So before that, now we have some student also joined in this webinar. So those who are other than the subjects of the physics or like this solar, so some brief or maybe some basic of that part that I discussed. So from that sunlight, that the heat or maybe the radiant energy which are emitted by sun and on the Earth's surface. So these are the only solar power source of the Earth from the sun. And it is an essential source of renewable energy. Ideas we are using as a passive solar or maybe active solar. Generally, by the principles or maybe law of the energy, that we are not producing any energy, but from one energy to another energy, we are converting to them. So the solar energy, basically, mostly our requirements by means of the electricity. So we mostly, and we can convert this solar energy into the electricity. And other than this, all this part, either it is a part of this cooking or etc. So we can use this solar energy. Generally, the solar energy from this atmosphere to our biospheres, those who are passing from this kind of these atmospheric layers. So most of the sunlight which are reflects and back away, and also some sunlights which are absorbed by the land or the ocean area or maybe a surface. So generally, if calculated some tentative this calculation from this solar energy, so incoming solar 179 petawatts, which are from this sun part to the our Earth's surface. Mostly it is reflected by the atmosphere, it's 10 petawatts. By this reflected by the clouds, then they reflected by the Earth's surface, then they radiated to space from the atmosphere. Also, some kind of the sunlight which are absorbed by the atmosphere and absorbed by the air. This kind of all the absorbing or maybe reflecting of the solar energy in nature. Mostly the all of the energy from the sun that reach the earth, which arrives the radiation by the solar radiation, a part of large collection of energy called electric magnetic radiation spectrum. Mostly in that portion that we have said, so only there are the nanometer part of these lights where we can visible it. It says visible lights, and invisible light where have this by this radio wave or microwave, infrared, ultraviolet, X-ray or gamma rays. So these are the fraction of this sunlight which are penetrated from this atmospheric part. The solar portion where the solar energy is by means of we are using as a solar heating, photovoltaics, solar thermal energy, the solar architecture, the molten salt power plants, and artificial photosynthesis. So by means of these parts, we can use the solar energy. The basic principle of this, all the solar energy, where the every location on Earth received sunlight at least, a part of that, the amount of solar radiation that reaches only a one spot, and the Earth's surface varies according to its geographical location, time of the day, the season, the local landscape, and the local weather. So mostly by the moving of this Earth and Earth's surface, so direction to the sun, which gives or maybe local landscape area or to be absorbed by the others and the ocean clouds and land masses. The water cycles on the earth is because of the sun energy. By the process of the photosynthesis, the sun energy which are converted into green plant and or maybe as a photon it accepts, and all this photosynthesis activity, and during that parts the simple carbohydrate like the glucose it forms, and after that glucose form these derivatives of the carbohydrates and others, all the biomolecules like protein and fats and others. So that sunlight which are play an important role for the primary producers for the food by means of the photosynthetic activity. Sun energy act also in a major role for this horticulture and this agriculture sector also. Some cooking, drying, and pasteurization of food can be done by the using this sun energy. A major area of solar chemical research and technology of hydro or the power productions. The sun energy can also be stored in molten salt. It is also ecological acceptable for the non-political vehicles in environmental effects. The various countries use sun energy to power their spaceships. The Earth receives around 1,366 watts of direct sun energy per square meter. The largest solar plant in the world is located in the Mojaza district and desert in California, covering 1,000 acres. More than 260,000 Americans currently work in the solar power industry, which is expected to increase. And NASA is presently working on a solar powered aircraft. These are some basic facts of the sun energy. Mostly the sun is round, the earth is round, and the sun strikes the surface of different angles. So in various ranging, the sun rays are vertical, the earth's surface gets all energy out. The more slanted the sun's rays are, the longer they travel through the atmosphere and become more scattered and diffuse. Because the earth is round, the frigid polar regions never get a high sun and atmosphere. The tilted axis of the rotation, this area received no sun at all during part of that. This Earth revolves around the sun in an elliptical orbit and is closer to the around the of the year. When the sun is nearer the Earth's surface receives a little more. The 23.5-degree tilt in the Earth axis of rotation is a more significant factor, and the amount sunlight striking the Earth at a particular location. Day and nights are both exactly 12 hours long on the equinoxes. Generally, the diffuse and the direct solar radiations, as sunlight passes through the atmosphere, some of it absorbed, scattered, and some is reflected by the air molecules, water vapor, cloud, dust, pollutants, forest fires, and volcanoes. This is called the diffuse solar radiation, the solar radiation that reaches the Earth's surface without being diffused in a big solar radiation. The sum of the diffuse and direct solar radiation is called global solar radiations. The atmospheric condition can reduce direct beam radiation by 10% on clearing, by the 100% during thick, cloudy days. Some measurement when we have this sunlight or maybe sun energy, which are from the atmospheric layers and to the biosphere part. Mostly it is utilized, mostly it is reflected. And as far as the concern with this measurement, the scientific measure the amount of sunlight falling on the specific location in different times of the years. Total radiation on a surface tracking that. The radiation data for solar electric, like this photovoltaic system, are often in as kilowatt hours per square meter. Direct estimate of solar energy may be expressed as per watts per square meter. The radiation data for solar water heating and space heating systems, which represent in British thermal unit per square foot. Here, these are the part of the SI unit where we call the watt, then kilowatt, this megawatt, gigawatt, terawatt, or petawatt. These are the measurement unit as per the SI unit for this solar energy. Here you can see that annual addition of the renewable power capacity. And here you can see this yellow part by the column which are said this in each and every part is in this, where the all part, the solar PV, which are generally increasing in portion, that wind power, hydropower, and biopower. So other than the wind power, hydropower, biopower, and the solar PV, where you can see here, it's have, and this is added in 2018, where the 181 gigawatts, which are here, the data shows these particular results. In all India installed power capacity in gigawatts, where we calculate all those things. So where kind of this renewable energy, so where the coal part, mostly 202, then the light, gas, then diesel, nuclear, hydro, solar, wind, small hydro, then biomethanation, cogeneration, waste of energy. You can see here that 40.5, where the gigawatts, where the solar part, the solar energy, we can install this power capacity for it from the total 382.73 gigawatts. Here, a different part where you can see the utility scale electricity generating capacity additions. So various part where we can utilize this different energy like the solar, wind, then natural gas, or maybe nuclears or batteries and others. So you can see the 15.4, these gigawatts energy, almost 39%, which are been used and utilized. So here I share the slide of the primary energy from the renewable sources. It's the data of the 2019, where from this percentage, you can see the light color to the darkened portions, where this increase in orders is 0.285%. The different locations on these various kind of these countries on the Earth situation. Also the map of the solar energy generation, and which reflects the solar power generations. It is the data electricity generation from the solar measured in terawatt per hours per year. Here from 0, this terawatt hours to the more than 80% from the light in color to be darkened portions, where the nearby this China, that India, which have a maximum that 40 to 60% of part where the terawatt hours where this shows. When we are taking interest in the solar power projects of our nations, where you can see the map of our India. So where the location, where the western part and the southern regions, where it is a largely concentrated on this solar power project. And the data here, the value shows that most of the states which are from the western part to the southern area, which gives a higher value. Here, the Nagaland, this one, and all this yellow part in the eastern portion of this our nation, where the most of the part which are very lack the sense of this solar power projects. So I hope that in future, this capacity of this solar power projects is more in numbers in that part also, by the demand of the population and the demand of these some governmental rulers. Here, I'm talking about this plant part, where the activity of the photosynthesis, where the light energy which are converted into chemical food energy in the plant. So simply we say that water and this carbon dioxide, the gaseous portion from the atmospheres, those who converted in the presence of the chlorophyll, and those who are making the simple glucose, which are known as the sugars, and they release the oxygen part also. So not only the conversion of this energy in this portion, but also it's release the major part of the gases and demandable gases, and each and every living organism which are need for the oxygen which are from this plant part, and by the photosynthetic activity release. So in the respiration we need the oxygen, so releasing of this oxygen from this plant by the photosynthetic activity, and the solar energy which play an important role in that process. Here this below this carbon drift part, this IEA reports key findings that the energy futures, the net zero, the solar powered regulations, the coal loosen its hold, transport continues to grow, building, cooling, and cooking. These are the main these objectives for the by the using of the solar energy portions. The solar energy, the policymakers increasingly see chances for greater income, improved trade balances, industrial development, and job creation through renewable energy development. However, detailed evidence on these effects remain limited. Analysis. It's produced in cooperation with the Clean Energy Ministerial. The report presents a conceptual framework for analyzing this macroeconomic, economic, distributional, energy-related, and other effects of large manufacturing, where the manufacturing part like this material or etc. The presence of other industries like steel or automotive productions, semiconductors, or glass making also concentrated on that part, which are give the facilities to this project of the solar energy, solar power. Upgrading power grids to integrate renewables also contributes to broader value creations, while operation and maintenance of renewable energy facilities, which creates a long-term job for plant monitoring, equipment inspection, and repair services. With the emergence of a local renewable energy industry, numerous opportunities for domestic value creation arise along all segments of the value chain. The next potential of about 748 gigawatts, assuming 3% of the wasteland area to be covered by solar PV models. Solar energy has taken a central place in India's National Action Plan on climate change, with National Solar Mission as one of the key missions. National Solar Missions was launched on 11 January 2010. NSM is a major initiative of the Government of India with active participation from states to promote ecological sustainable growth while addressing India's energy security challenges. It will also constitute a major contribution by India to the global effort to meet the challenges of climate change. The mission target installing 100 gigawatts grid-connected solar power plants by the year 2022. This is aligned with the India's intended nationally determined contributions target to achieve about 40% cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel-based energy resources, to reduce the emission intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35% from 2005 level by 2030. 30% tax break from this government is allowed for people who buy solar panels. Solar panels have 25 years warranty. The rooftop solar panel system at the house can reduce 100 tons of carbon dioxide in its lifetime. In 2016, new solar panel installation for every 84 seconds. In the world, China telluride panels, a company has achieved 22.1% efficiency in converting sunlight into energy. The first solar power calculators were invented in 1978. Solar energy is not found in the latest century. It was found in early 700 BC, that is nearly 2700 years ago. They were used by the ancestors to produce heat of fire by using the glass lenses and making the sun rays fall on them barely. When the distilled water is poured on the lens of any glass, and if the paper is placed under the setup, it many thousands of miles apart. The sunlight takes less than 10 minutes to reach Earth. Just think about that. What is the fast travel just to reach? Solar energy is energy in sun. Sustainable living, investment in solar fetches far more returns than any traditional asset class, and investment break even in 2 to 5 years for end consumers, and the annuity saving of as high as 25% continues for 25 years over the project life. In addition, create employment while making the world greener. There has been a visible impact of solar energy in the Indian energy scenario during the last few years. Solar energy-based, decentralized and distributed applications have benefited millions of people in Indian village by meeting their cooking, lighting, and other energy needs in environment-friendly manner. Further, solar energy sector in India has emerged as a significant player in the grid-connected power generation. think that most of the equipment, instrument, or home appliances we are thinking for that which are by the electricity and the electricity which are generated by the solar energy. Most of the solar panels, the solar energy, we can convert into this electric energy. Most of the equipment like our, if we have to charge our mobiles, so the battery, which we can also, we are have this kind of this solar energy we are utilize and charging the batteries. We have lots of examples where this by this solar energy in this form this particular energy and we can use it in mostly the motor vehicles. Nowadays we have the four-wheel or maybe two-wheel by this solar energy. The solar panels which are helped to generate the electricity. Most of the home appliances by the means of the cooking, by the heating the water, or maybe some kind of this solar pan, we can make the solar panel from that part. So we are using the solar energy. So the energy which are produced by the sun and it which are reflects or maybe some absorbed, we can utilize it and we can utilize in all the manner. So this is the all this content basics and this regarding to the solar energy portions. So I am stop for these other speakers we have to listen to. So here I complete my this talk on this solar energy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful presentation. Now, I would introduce our next speaker, Mr. Brajesh Kumar. Mr. Kumar is a Vice President at CLP India, a joint venture company between CLP Holdings Hong Kong and CDPQ Canada. He is responsible for business development of greenfield renewable energy projects in India. He holds an MBA degree from National Power Training Institute in Power Management and Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical from GLI University. During his career spanning over 15 years, he has worked primarily in renewable energy sector with his wide exposure on policies and regulations, strategy formulations, investment analysis, and business planning and development, etc. Now, I request him to present his thoughts with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Jalasri, for your kind introduction. And I hope you can see my screen. Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
All right. Since we are running behind the schedule, so I'll just or by relying on the fossil fuels. So it's a need of the hour for us to look at something which we can rely on and develop as a part of the long-term development part of our life. And it comes to wind and solar, which have been the two natural resources have been existent for hundreds of years. And now we are using them even for our day-to-day needs for heating, for electricity generation. So I come here from the industry perspective to talk about how it is changing our industry behavior from the electricity industry. I come from a company which has been in this segment for the last 120 years. So we have seen the entire evolution of the electricity industry all before us. It's just now a matter of time how fast the changes have been, the way we used to develop our business and used to operate and maintain for over a period of time. But in the last 15-20 years, we could see that this is not a regular bread and butter. So what I'm talking about the revolution in the industry. So we talk about S curves. Typically, the S curves talks about how the industry behavior is changing. So in that scheme of thing, if you see an industry with a very fast S curves, then you have to be very, very, very agile to cope up with the changes, which was not the case in the electricity industry earlier. But now, as you go, you see those S curves have become more shorter. And therefore, if you look at the coal, which was there as a main business for almost 100 years, all of a sudden in the last 20 years, it has got, I would say, a less talkative now, possibly in talked in more of negative words when it comes to the polluting the environment. So solar today is the cheapest source of electricity generation, and it is being adopted by the countries across the world, and India is also no exception. However, at the same time, if you see, while we are deploying solar, there are other fuels which are coming online, and the hydrogen today is also an emerging interest area. So you talk about, you look, the concept that I talked about, the S curves. So this is will remain very, very short. Possibly the solar that we see could be could reach to its peak in 2030, and that's where we start seeing hydrogen coming as a new fuel source. But at the same time, given that solar is non-exhaustible resource, this will continue to drive our economies, our energy needs, I think, forever. Till the time we exist, a solar in some form will be there to meet our electricity need or energy needs. But other solar sources will come as also part of it. Next slide, please, Janice. Then this slide also talk about again the industry which was there. The purple that you talk about is the I would say was a mainstay up till 2020 2010. And when you start seeing renewables coming on the grid, more so wind and solar, the things have started becoming more macro or micro, macro to micro. That's the theme now. The companies who used to develop large scale coal plants have become a shorter, smaller size solar projects as compared to the coal plants. However, in India, we still in the early phase of deployment of renewables. We have seen around 45 gigawatts of solar being deployed. However, still we have a long way to go to meet our energy needs. So when I'm talking about energy needs, I'm just not talking about the electricity that we use. Is something goes beyond that in terms of the petrol that we consume or diesel that we consume. At some point of time, we have to find alternative for these two fuel sources as well, so that we could have more of energy security or energy independence that we talk about. As we talk about the generation part, there are other parts of the value chain, the transmission and distribution and the retail part when the energy reaches from the source of generation to the point of consumption. And we are seeing the changes happening all across the value chain. And with solar, the beautiful part of it, it could be a large scale deployments, or it could be as small as going to a rooftop or going to in the form of batteries or any other heating needs. So it can be a really thousands of a megawatt plant to maybe a kilowatt or maybe less than a watt sort of applications. So solar has fit into the overall dynamics which can go and meet the consumer's requirement directly and very beautifully. So it's a very customizable product. So what you aspire to with solar, possibly you can achieve it. And it does provide a landscape for, I think, all sorts of industries to come in and participate in. If you have a huge money, please go and develop the large scale projects. But if you're a small players, don't get disappointed. You usually still have a room by installing the rooftop projects or by selling the solar applications, and still be part of the overall growth story. So solar does provide all of that, and we have seen in the last 5 years, if you see for each of them to operate, maintain, and sustain. Yeah, so in that scheme of thing, the solar is one of the key theme. Moving on to the next slide, Ganesh, please. So, what's happening? Why it is being solar has been talked about a lot these days, and a lot is being driven by the economic and political compulsion. One of the touch point, a point touched by the earlier speakers about the climate change, and the various governmental discussions that are happening across the world. India is the leader in that segment. India has taken lead along with the France to form International Solar Alliance, which has got headquarter in India, and this is the only multinational alliance which has got headquartered in India. So we can see that how India is taking lead and making making solar to reach not just within the country, but also the countries who are lying between the tropics, and they do have enough sunlight, so they could also benefit from the developments happening. So there's a collaboration in the through ISA and other platforms. So this is a sort of a political movements. At the same time, the solar over the last 10 years have become one of the cheapest fuel source. So it makes perfect economical sense for you to deploy more and more solar. Regulations have also evolved in the last 10 years. What we could say that there's a lot more focus on the renewables to make sure that the regulation fuel source or one of the element that we have seen has taken a big leapfrog. Earlier, the solar panels that get used was just limited to the satellites. Those were the high-grade silicon that we used to put in. But over the last 10 years, more so the innovations done by our Chinese guys. In fact, they have invested a huge amount and resources to make sure that processing of silicon become cost effective. And therefore, if you see the sort of panel which get deployed earlier in the satellite type of applications have come as a mainstay in the power generation and is quite affordable as well. And within that segment that we see more and more innovations happening. So the technology is playing, I think, a sort of lead role in getting the apart from the hydrogen that could come as a complementary role in a few years down the line. However, in today's and the next 10 years, if we talk about, the solar is going to stay here. If we move to the next slide, and that's where we start seeing what's happening in the country today. If you see that installed capacity that India has done, is still we have come up. One could see, look at the graph that the top left. You look at there's significant capacity addition in the absolute numbers, while there was almost I would say less than 50 megawatt the capacity that the country had in 2010. However, in next 11 years, we have come a big way. However, there's a lot more to be done, and our policies that future technologies that are coming up, and to ensure that we start implementing some of these R&D stage projects, which could become a sort of the prospective project, given that the growth prospects are quite significant. At the same time, the challenging part for industry is the tariff. When we hear the policymakers, the question or the point that get talked about is the tariffs or the price which utility will pay for this cost. And these tariffs are extremely competitive, I would say, given the risk profile and the cost of finance. This tariff of 2 rupees that we are seeing in our last few auctions of in India is one of the lowest in the world. So for industry, it makes a lot of it takes a lot of efforts to reach to these numbers through the technical efficiencies, through the financial efficiencies, and taking call on the other business environmental aspects. So therefore, we have to put some of these ideas in motion to make the things work effectively for everybody to realize the growth targets that we have. However, from the industry perspective, numbers are encouraging, and possibly that will also drive solar in India for next, at least for next 10 years. That was the industry is hoping for. If we go to the next slide, that's where the things start putting in perspective. What is the road ahead for us? If you look at the ENY, which talks about the attractiveness index of various countries, they have been consistently putting India in one of the top 10. And in the last 1 year, though, there have been a drop in between due to some policies issues or because of the COVID issues. However, the India is one of the top 5 or the ranked number 3 in the overall attractiveness index. Given that the size of the market is significant, and it does provide a lot of room for the industries to come and operate. And it has got stable policies, the regulations are fairly matured, and the bankable agreements, there have been a sea change in terms of how the offtake arrangements used to happen vis-a-vis how they that will support the growth in the generation side. If you look at the industry per se, the developers, the last 2 blocks in the developers and financiers, they are there in abundance in the country, and they will be able to support the growth numbers that we have seen in the previous slides. However, at the same time, the challenging part is the top 3 blocks, where we are still dependent on the import for meeting these requirements. I'm sure most of you are aware that we are importing almost 80 to 85% of the PV modules that we are deploying today from China, Malaysia, or Taiwan. And these have been parts of around a $15 billion import bill. So imagine if we continue with the same numbers and still continue to rely on import. Therefore, we will have less of impact on the economy in terms of job creation, or in terms of having an industry which could secure the base in India. So there's a lot of emphasis that is required on how the raw material get procured and secured, specifically the earth material or the raw materials. They have to be secured appropriately. Technology investments in the technology have to be made, and we have to have a lot more manufacturing for us to be self-sustainable in the entire value chain. If you look at, it's not something is not happening. Government is doing its bit. They have come up with the production linked incentive to incentivize more of the manufacturing industries, and there are specifically auctions where they are encouraging the developers to set up the manufacturing facilities. And some of you might have already heard, Reliance has recently announced gigawatt factories for setting up various manufacturing related aspects of solar or the energy storage, electrolytes, etc. So some of these measures will help India to be self-sustainable in the entire value chain, and that will lead to, I would say, not just help India, but around the world as well, as we are one of the founding members of ISA. So we will be able to support other countries in time of need. So there's a lot more to happen, and then this space is quite attractive, I believe, for the upcoming generation, the current generation, and the generation which is in advanced stages. So possibly this is a space that we should all tune in. With this words, I wrap up my discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for such an enlightening presentation. Now, let me introduce our next speaker, Mr. Pushparai Mishra. Mr. Mishra is a visiting faculty at Pandit Ravishankar Shukla University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. He has acquired in postgraduate diploma in renewable energy from Tarisas University of Delhi. He is also an M.Tech in electrical power system engineering from Dr. C.V. Raman University, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. He has also worked as a project engineer in Solar Energy Corporation of India, New Delhi, and has worked as quality control engineer in SR Corporate Consultant Private Limited. So I'll now request him to present his thoughts with us. Over to you, sir.
Thanks to Dr. Acharya and Nanoland family for inviting me to this webinar. Today webinar topic is solar energy, idea, innovation and economy. So in this way we will discuss on the basis of the topic for which I am sharing my PPT. Now, what is renewable energy? Renewable energy is useful energy that is collected from renewable resources which are naturally replenished on a human time scale, including carbon, natural sources like sunlight, wind, rain, tides, wave, and geothermal heat. Sources of renewable energy are unlimited sources on our earth. Now, what is solar energy and its different types? Solar energy can be divided by two types. First is solar thermal and second is solar PV. Solar thermal technology is the technology in which electricity is generated from heat, and electricity is directly generated by light in solar photovoltaic. Now, photovoltaic is a combination of two words, photo and voltaic, in which photo means light and voltaic means electricity. A photovoltaic system is composed of one or more solar panels combined with an inverter and other electrical and mechanical hardware that use energy from sun to generate electricity. PV system can vary greatly in size, from small rooftop or portable system to massive utility scale generation plants. Although PV systems can operate by themselves as off-grid PV system, these articles focus on system connected to the utility grid or grid-tied PV system. Now, types of solar PV plants. Types of solar PV plants is like as shown in figure: rooftop solar power plant, ground mounted solar power plant, floating type solar power plant, and canal top solar power plant. Now, components of grid connected rooftop solar power plant. Here we will discuss what the components are in any solar power plant and what their importance in the solar plants. Like solar modules. Solar modules are the main components in any solar plant because solar module is one that collects solar energy which is in light from and convert it into electricity directly. Solar modules convert solar energy into DC form of electricity. Inverter. Inverter is the second main component of solar plant because the inverter converts the DC electricity generated from the solar modules into AC form. The reason for converting to AC is that to use electricity in our country India, as in the world, AC equipment is used only. The selection of inverter is done according to capacity and voltage rating of the plant. In the installation, two types of inverters we will use, like string and central inverters. Next one is mounting structure. The mounting structure is the third part of solar power plant, which is the main part of solar power plant because without the structure solar modules cannot be installed. The structure is designed according to latitude angle of the particular location, which is also known as tilt angle of the solar modules or like a solar power plant. It is also designed according to seasonal tilt. If we get less radiation, then we can tilt the structure according to seasonal tilt angle. Next one is cables, converters, ties. There are generally two types of cable used in a solar power plant, like DC cables and AC cable. From solar module to inverter, DC cables are used, and from the output of the inverter to the feeder of the consumer, AC cables are used. Depending upon the size of cable, the plant capacity, the DC distribution box of the corresponding DC increments. Now, next one is meters. Then in solar power plant we use like solar meter, net meter and gross meter. Then what is solar meter? Solar meter is a meter to measure the solar generation in a solar plant. A solar generation meter is installed after AC distribution box. And next one is net metering, or you can say net meter. The net meter is a system that gives solar energy owners credits for the power that they add to the grid. When solar panels produce excess power, that power is sent to the grid. When a unit of solar energy that has been net metered, the bidirectional electricity meter will run backwards. Now, next one is gross metering. Gross metering requires an extra electricity meter to measure the outflow of electricity from your solar power to the grid. You will be paid a predetermined feed-in tariff for the electricity exported to the grid from your solar power system. Gross meters are installed in large organizations such as schools and colleges. Now next one is earthing and safety component. Now what is earthing and why it is used? Earthing is the method of discharging electrical energy into the earth with the help of wire for safety and functional purpose. Earthing is also known as a grounding system or an electrical installation that connects electrical circuit to the ground for lightning protection, personal protection, property protection, potential protection, potential grading, earthing, etc. Now, earthing safeguard anyone from coming to the contact with voltage or any object that is dangerous. Solar power plants are using photovoltaic power system for decades that are capable of producing current. Many solar power plants use electronic devices that must be well designed and electrically installed by experts. The performance of the electronic devices installed depending upon their earthing techniques. Now, why do solar panel need earthing? Now, solar installation require earthing according to international safety standard. Here, a lightning conductor system surrounds them. Next one is solar panel have inbuilt transformer that set up the voltage generated through solar power plants. Due to their designs, they are more prone to shocks. In case you require earthing for the PV solar power system, you need the following elements like an earth cable, earthing joint and an earth plate. Next one, to protect the workers around the solar power plant, to keep solar plants in check at regular intervals. A grounding path will easily avoid any electrical fault and would not pose a threat to system stability. Better functionality of devices. Now next one, safety components. And personal protective equipment such as safety shoes, safety helmets, reflecting jackets, gloves and safety belt, full body harness with permanent lifelines should be strictly mandatory for all workers and all jobs. Now next one is next slides for benefit of solar power plant. Now what is the benefit of solar power plant and why we want to use install solar power plant and why everyone should adopt solar power plant. Then benefit of solar power plant helps in sustainable development of the nation, require minimal maintenance. Solar plants require minimum maintenance, but if its proper maintenance is not done, then energy generation lot also start, because in this it is very important to clean the solar modules. If the modules are not clean, then the generation will be less. If the solar module is not properly cleaned, the chances of getting a hotspot increases. Then what is hotspots and how it's come? Hotspots come in solar modules due to bird dropping like permanent shadow coming over the module, and if anyone are drying cloth or on solar module, which acts as a resistance for the path of current, due to which many times solar module catch fire and they burn. Supports in local next one, supports in local economic development, like local job is created where the solar plant is installed. Now it helps to safeguard the earth of future generations and a significant reduction in electricity bill. Like there is also a reduction in electricity bill by installation of solar plant. For example, the demand for electricity of a building is of 50 unit per day, and if a solar plant of 3 kilowatt peak is installed on it, then 1 kilowatt solar power plants generate per day on an average 4 unit. Then it will generate, if we have 3 kilowatt solar power plant, then as per standard it will generate 12 units per day, due to which if there is a consumption of 50 unit per day, then 3 unit will have to be built. And if the consumption of less than 12 units, then you can set the sell the electricity to DISCOM at PPA rate. What is PPA rate? PPA rate is power purchase agreement in between the like consumer or discom, or in between vendor, consumer and discom. Now next one is subsidy by government for residential consumer. If you set or anyone set a solar plant for residential purpose in any state of India, then subsidy is given according to the government norms. Or if the government is running a scheme to set up a solar plant, then according to the subsidy is also given on installing the plant. Next one, next slide. Main phases of solar plant, like life cycle of solar plant. In this part, where you have to set a solar plant, you have to fill the form in the discom. For the feasibility, the discom offer visit the site. Next, after visit the site, you get NOC. NOC is no objection certificate for the area proposed for the plant. After that, based on the NOC, you start the installation of the solar power plant. To design and engineering portion has been designed as per the site and area of the proposed plant in which the installation of the plant is finalized. Now next one is procurement, installation, meter testing, certification and commissioning, which start the generation and utilization of electricity in the plant. Next one is operation and maintenance is the part of plant. For your plant to work properly, you need to do proper maintenance of the plant. Now next one is the last one is the life of the plant. Per government norms, the life of the solar plant is 25 years. After completion of 25 years, the plant can be dismantled and it will be recycled. Now next slide. Next slide is for now overview of rooftops solar power plant. The first one, the consumer has to submit a letter to discom for setting up a solar power plant, which contains area details, electricity bill, load demand of particular building or particular organization, etc. Next one is after submission of application form, the consumer is given the acknowledgement from the discom. Next one, on the basis of the application and details, the officers of the discom visit for the feasibility in the particular building and organization. On the basis of this, after visit, no objection certificate is issued to the consumer for setting up solar plants from discom. Next one, for setting up a solar plant, there is a PPA, power purchase agreement, signed between the consumer and discom and installer, in which the consumer can also sell his or her electricity to the discom on excess generation. After that, complete installation of solar plant is done after consumer also submit the application for metering. For metering to meter testing division like installation of the meter. After the plant installation work is completed, the vendor submit the who installed the plant against consumer. Vendor submit the project completion report to discom or the renewable energy agency of particular state, on the basis of which, if any subsidy or incentive is to be given on the government particular plant, then the subsidy is given to the consumer. After the plant installation, the electrical inspector visit the solar plant and issue a CEIZ or CEA certificate, which state that the solar plant is installed as per electricity solar IC standard. CEA or CEIZ certificate is issued from the safety point of view of the plant. After the CEA certificate is issued by the discom officers, visit the plant and connect the plant to the grid, which is called commissioning of the that solar power plant. Plant commissioning is the working state of stage of solar plant where the consumer start using the electricity produced by the solar and on excess generation can sell on the basis of PPA, power purchase agreement rate with the DISCOM. Now next one is the benchmark cost for the rooftop solar power plant. This slide shows the benchmark cost of solar power plant is given by MNRE in all India. You can see this post by given to the website of MNRE. This notice is issued annually in which the benchmark cost of the solar plant is mentioned. These benchmark costs are on the basis of normal and special category state for rooftop solar power plant, which has a benchmark cost of 1 kilowatt to 500 kilowatt peak solar power plant. If you set up a solar plant up to 3 kilowatt peak for residential purpose in any state all over across India, then the government gives 40% subsidy of total cost, and if more than 3 kilowatt and up to 10 kilowatt, then the government gives 40% subsidy up to 3 kilowatt peak, and above 3 kilowatt and up to 10 kilowatt, the 20% subsidy of the total cost the government will be given to the consumer. And if you do the battery bank and net metering, then you will have to pay for its charges separately. Now next slide for state nodal agencies under Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, India. Now these list of state nodal agencies that come under Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, there is only one state nodal agency in any state. From this list, you may see the list of state nodal agency according to your state, where you will get the information related to renewable energy in your state. Now next slide is for a list of DISCOMs for different states in India. This is the list of DISCOM of all states on all India basis. You may see which DISCOM come in your state or in your area. This is why it is important to know all about the DISCOM. If you want to install a solar plant, then the form of installing a solar plant is available from the DISCOM itself. DISCOM means the distribution company that does the work of electricity distribution in your state or the area in which you live. There can be only one renewable energy agency in any particular state, but if you talk about DISCOMs, it can also be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in any state. Now thanks for listening to me. From me, you can do solar plant installation, commissioning, licensing, DPR preparation, site visit, site survey, financial calculation and subsidy queries in India.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us with your presentation. Now, I would like to request Ms. Supriya Rai to illustrate her knowledge. Ms. Supriya works as a project engineer at National Institute of Solar Energy, Gurgaon. She has completed her MTech in Green Energy Technology from Pondicherry University. She is currently pursuing her PhD from IIT Delhi. She has over 7 years of experience in solar cell, module, and power plant reliability. So I'll now request her to present her views with us. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Jalashri, for your kind words. And I just am sharing my PPT with you. Someone who is interested in renewable energy and want to know about what is the main goal for achieving the huge target which our government has been focused on. So basically, I am a project engineer in National Institute of Solar Energy. Being a MNRE ambitious target 175 gigawatt in 2020. So MNRE is looking more focused how if someone is installing the system, they should also look over the reliability and durability of the system. Like if you are buying a solar modules or solar products like batteries, inverters, you are using a water pumping system, so you need a proper, reliable and high durable systems. Without that, there is a high chance where the module get degraded or the system get degraded and you are losing the performance. So in the economics term point of view, you are losing your ROI or you are losing your money in that. So is in India, people are more focused, previously more focused on that system installations, but that time reliability on that, and we we take out the troubleshoot of the problems of the plants, and we also give us suggestions for that. And other than that, we also doing some R&D projects and trainings. This is the small outdoor test beds facilities we have. So we have different type of technology get installed in our outdoor, where we see that what is the reliability of the systems in the small test bed centers. If you see the install a power plant, they go for a software simulations where they see the feasibility of the locations where feasibility of the location where the plant is installing can be capable for generation or not. Because if your plant location has a lot of terrains or your soil quality is not good, you can't install your plant. So there, this called as a business development, where we try to focus that your plant feasibility report will focus that your plant can be installed in that location of area or not. Second, they go for the design engineering, where they will see the components, which type of components, which type of modules, which type of inverters suitable for that installations. And after buying the product, they want to transport those products and with proper handling. Because if your product is in the good form while purchasing, but you didn't handle it properly, there is a breakage, so there is a transportation fall on that. So you should have a well-trained like earnest cost, and if your there is a delay in the payments, so that time there is a penalty cost also. So that cost is also included in the financial cost. And operation maintenance cost includes a labor cost, where you have proper certified engineers, your diploma holders or laborers who can design your plant properly. Because if you don't have a trained laborers or proper examines the plant designing, there is a chance that after installation there can be a degradation in your plant, because you didn't install the plant properly, or your material which is imported to your the places is not very up to the mark. So there, if this is also there is a penalty for that. So that cost is also added on the OM cost. And the performance is tested by your PR, means what is the like performance generation of your plant. If your plant is not generating up to the mark, there is a penalty for that. So you should always look over that performance ratio of your plant, so that you can know that your plant is working or not. So basically we look over that plant power plant for various faults, and we have some protocols to test a power plant. So some small failures which occurring in the plant are operations and maintenance of the PV plant. Safety issue, if issue is there, means when you don't have a proper wiring or proper tagging in the wires, or there is a leakage in the wire, so there is a chances of fire which can occur in the plant. So your module or your system can get burned. So there is a safety issues which we have to check it out. We need to inspect the plant. We need to see the failure response, how if the plant is not generating up to the mark, what is the issue in that. And then after that we have to diagnose that which is the problematic things and where the problem is occurring. Basically operation and maintenance are basically a risk analysis or risk mitigations. Means if you have a high risk, then you have to mitigate also in the small amount of time. Your inverter is working properly or not, or your DC or AC connection is in a proper connection or not. If there is any wire connection fault, you have to check it out, and you have to find out where is the problem. And therefore you also have a structure fault. Basically there are many structures which are made designed, but due to high wind, when there is a thunderstorms, and when there is a high chances the sandstorms, so there are chances that module get if you are not proper installed, or you don't have a proper wind load facility, although the module can get detached from that your structure, or your structure got broken, or you have a corrosion in your structure is not galvanized. So that are the most part we need to check. So basically the instruments which we are using while checking the power plant and degrade, if we have a degradations, so we have to finalize it. We are using the instruments as a IV tracer. We are using IV tracer are mostly used to see the generation. If you we see the proper generation of AC by isolating, we see the performance of the DC side. Your DC side is capable to generate the total generation or not, or you have a fault in which of the string. There are different strings which are made in the combiner box. So we have to check that which string has an issue, and we have to check that module or the string is working or not. If the string has a fault, we have to check the module, which modules are have a problem in that. So basically is like a product has been made, and we are checking according to the end product to the base product to see that the plants are working capable or not. And the other things which while we use for our protection is toolbox, shoes, helmet, for so that we should not get a shock while testing the modules or the plants. These are the commercials module which are mainly installed in the latest in Indian continent, like monocrystalline, polycrystalline, CDT, CIGS, amorphous, sun power, HIT. Now bifacial is taking a high catching, high bifacial and monoperk. These are the two technologies which are eye catching in the Indian market, but we have to look over the long-term study for that. The plant is what is the plant feasibility report, or is the plant after installing, because these are the latest trend which has been installed till now. Actually, if you see the degradation report, there is a benchmark which we need to follow. Like there is a 1% degradation every year. This is quite acceptable. But if the degradation is more than 1% or 2%, like 0.5%, so this means that your models are start degrading in the higher rate. So that should be you have to look over it. You have to troubleshoot it, that which model is quite degrading, or we have to reverse. We have to change the modules so that other system, other string or other system should not have the same fault. Other than that, the affecting there are the different parameters which affect the PV performance. Like solar is the energy which we getting from the sun, but what are the energy, what are the effects which are performing the module are your sun, your temperature, your spectrum, if you have a soil in the module, you have a lot of soiling. If you install the module in the high soiled area where dust is depositing high rate, so there is a chance to drop your to drop your generations. So and you will lose the power. So it's very important to do the proper operation and maintenance in the to get the proper generations, or to get the proper to get a proper feed-in tariff. With there is a rate we call as feed-in tariff. So in that rate, if you are supplying to the grid, you should have a proper maintenance to study that your generation is up to the mark or not. If your generation has some issue, you have to check it out, and you have to be more reliable to it. I told you the spectrum is very important parameter, which actually spectrum is not basically a sun energy which we are using as a source, but it get influenced in various other parameters. Like there is a mismatch in your reference which energy of the sun, because the humidity has a if you have a water content, means high humid, so that will lose your energy. And I told you that there is a dusting problem, so you will lose your transmittance, means the energy which is coming on the transmittance. So we have a proper study in our place to see that what is the transmittance losses we are getting. So we have studied for the 28 days, and we have found that 4 to 6% transmittance drops is happening in our locations. So for this we need to survey that in different places where the plant is located, what is the actual problem, or what is the actual issues happening. If you have a soiling problem, then you have to clean the module in the proper scheduling time. Or if you have a your wire or your module is degrading, you have to change your module structure or module in that proper string. So you have to troubleshoot what is the proper problem happening in the your string or your plant. These are the actually when we go for the system check, we use IV tracer, as I showed you that in the previous slide. So where we check that what is the productions from that we are getting from our plant. So we actually the production is like it's because your sun energy is quite variable. So what you have to do, there is a standards which we need to follow to make a translations where you have to make a standard benchmark where you can say that what is the generation of your plant. So that time you need to translate your power in the standard format. So we use the standards to standard formula to translate the actual power is generating from the plant. And after that we will calculate the degradation rate which we are getting from the plant. If the degradation is higher than 1%, then we have to put it in the safety issue, and we have to tell that you have to which are the modules which we need to replace. If the module is urgently not replaced, then there is a chance that other system will also got degraded, or this module will get degraded. Other than that, we use a IR camera. IR camera is basically look over that thermal imaging of your modules. Means if your module is in the underperformance and is consuming instead of generating, so there will be hotspot chances which you can see in the figures. So we will try to diagnose that where the module is creating a hotspot. That is the creating a proper space that your module is got degraded, and this is the critical module which we have to replace, because there is a means like a condition where the ambient your module temperature is quite high, more than 20 degree than other cells. Then you have to see that your module is in a severe condition, so you have to replace those modules. And other than that, we use an insulation tester to test that module has a insulation losing its insulation property or not, because a module is insulative from outside. So if there is an insulation leakage is happening, that means your module is having a leakage current problems, where your leakage current is basically a chance where the PID occurrence is more PID, and that time you have to see that module basically when the module is connected in the high voltage strings where the voltage is more than like 1000 volt. So there is more chances that module get leakage current in that. So that we have to check from the insulation tester. Other than that, we have to also check that conductivity of your fuse. If your fuse is underrated, means your fuse is very low rated than the required, then you have to the fuse will be got broken. So you have to change your fuse that time. You have to check the resistance of your fuse. And other than that, we have to also check the what is the your voltage of the system. While this need to check after isolating from the AC side, because you are generating your DC side and the inverter is converting to AC. But when you test those system, you need to always isolate your AC from DC side. So that is the more commercial thing you need to do. And if your voltage has some issue, high voltage has some issue near the that is the cause of PID. These are the most defects which we are occurring, we are facing in the power plant. So if it's got PID, then we have to solve through the anti-PID, means how to remove those PID. This is the other target we want to achieve. Other than I told you about the soil in the previous slide, so we have seen in our climatic zones, which is a composite climate in Gurgaon, Haryana, that more than, if we have a high soiling ratio, more than 6%, we always try to clean the module, because that is the worst condition for losing the generation, because every day we can't clean the module, and it's not possible for large megawatt scale plant which we are trying to make. And the worst condition we are facing for our location for cleaning in May, June, and July, where the agriculture activities are most of the time occurrence. So or especially, and if you have a high humidity on your place, means where the water thickness is more, you have more hydration of the soil, then there is a greater chance that the soil get more attached to the surface, and that will be the crucial point where the plant get losing your power till 30 to 50%. So you have to make a cleaning schedule where you have to clean and design a cleaning protocol to clean your plants, so that you should not lose your money. Other than that, it's always preferred to clean your module, especially in the after when the sun intensity is quite low, and you should always do a dry and wet cleaning, so that your module should not be get any scratch. So that will be other problems to be get sorted out. And these type of defects we have analyzed in the module, where the module gets burned due to that. I told you before that if your module has some wiring issue or you have a leakage problem, there the module get burned. So this type of defects we have analyzed in the big power plants. And sometimes if your module are not installed properly, then we can see that there is a glass breakage. This issue has a greater problem if you have your labor has not operated properly, you are not maintained the module properly during the installations. So that is my summarizations, that we have to see how the plant need to diagnose and what is the failure response, if we are how much we are generating and how much we are losing out. So if we have to see that if the plant is losing more power, then we have to see the solution, and we have to provide to the operators for that. And thanks for the patience.
Thank you, Ms. Supriya, for a great presentation. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Othman Burhan. Mr. Othman works as an environmental officer at the Department of Environment and Climate Change, Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar. He is a graduate in environmental sciences. He mainly looks after the climate change issues into national plans, implement national climate change projects, undertake research and report writing concerning climate change adaptation and mitigation. Now, I request him to present his thoughts with us. Over to you, sir. Kindly unmute your audio.
Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Zanish. Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. Thank you, all team of Nanoland. And thank you, my fellow speakers who speaks before me. Also, thank you all participants who joined this meeting today. I have some slides to share with you. By explaining myself, I'm Mr. Othman Bakar Burhan, work from Department of Environment as Environmental Officer on Climate Change Unit. And my work mostly concerning of on coordination, regulation, and mainstreaming issues of climate change into international plan. So let me start my presentation. Presentation is based on solar power system and technology, and this is my content. This is my content. First, I will look on the general concept of solar power. Then I will come to status of Zanzibar on energy sector. Then I will come to challenges and recommendation and conclusion. By starting with the introduction, first you have to know the meaning of solar power. Solar power is an unvanishing renewable energy resource which is available in abundance in nature. There are many ways of generating power, electricity. We can generate power, electricity from water. We can generate them from geothermal energy. We can generate them from fossil fuel. But mostly of the energy source are harmful to the environment and causes many environmental damage. Example of it, fossil fuel are more dangerous to our environment and can harm ecosystem and livelihood of our world. So what we are coming now, we are coming with the new inventing technologies such as power, such as wind, that are the types of energies that are eco-friendly to the environment. And this sun always deliver, it is energy into two forms. It deliver in form of heat. Also, it delivers energy in form of sunlight. And through this form, we come up with the two types of energy, which are solar thermal system and solar photovoltaic system. As here we see in our picture, there is a solar thermal system here that used to boil water, and here also we have the solar panel series that used to trap sunlight from the sun and converting them to electric energy. So how solar thermal is used? Solar is used in water heating, in solar spacing heating, in solar space cooling. In solar space heating, mostly for areas that live at the North Pole or Southern Pole of the world, they have, which they experience with the highly they are living in temperate region, so they are using this solar technology to warm up their space. Also in states like United Arab Emirates, like Saudi Arabia and others that is having the high amount of temperature, they are using this solar technology to drop down the amount of temperature. Also, we can use the solar energy in electric generation, and mostly use this photovoltaic technology. Also, this solar energy can be used in heaters, car lights, satellite dryers, calculator, greenhouse, and water pump, desalination, and others. These are some of images show the uses of solar power, and these are the sum of innovation that scientists made. Or here we have our solar power system can be used in irrigation. So here we see we have installed our solar panel here, and this is used to extract water from the ground. Then we are irrigating in our farm. Also, we can use the solar in greenhouse in greenhouse farming as well. Here, solar photovoltaic power system are categorized into three types. First is on-grid solar photovoltaic system. The second one is off-grid solar photovoltaic system, and the third one is hybrid solar photovoltaic system. On-grid solar power system, this is a type of solar power whereby these solar panel trap heat from sunlight, then inverter used to convert the DC current to AC. Then this can be used by personal use such as house or small industry or anywhere can be used. But the big point here, the energy rates are connected to the national grid for further utilization. Also, there is off-grid solar power system whereby in this system we do not connect the energy rates to the national grid. And here we have our battery storage that can store the energy, and this energy can be utilized during a night. This is mostly for personal use, and we do not contribute, we do not input energy to the national grid. Also, there is hybrid solar power system, that this is a connection of on-grid solar power system and off-grid solar power system. So here we can have those two things. We can store the energy, and also we can connect our energy rest to the national grid. And this is a best method that we have now to be engaged with. Also, let us look on the global perspective now, how situation is over the whole world. Now, around 1.3 billion people still do not have access to electricity, and more than 2.6 billion rely on traditional biomass. This is a very huge number of population that relies on biomass. So here we are surely, as environmentalists, there is massive destruction of forestry, massive destruction of ecosystem, including marine ecosystem and terrestrial ecosystem. So we have to come up with this clean technology so as to reduce the number of people who are depending on the traditional biomass. There is a 5 top country now that have been there are 5 countries like China. This is mostly Annex 1 countries that are capable enough to use this clean technology as a mitigation measure. As we know, UNFCCC and IPCC need us to move now to the clean technology. Among of them are China, that produce 250 gigawatt, and the United States that produce 76 gigawatts, Japan and etc. So let me look on the current status of energy sector in Zanzibar. First, we are Zanzibar depending our energy source from Tanzania mainland through 2 submarine cables, whereby Unguja we are depending 100 megawatt and Pemba depending 20 megawatt. As we remember, in 2080, there was a shutdown and cut down of electric supply in the whole country of Zanzibar for 3 months respectively. Through that, government realized the importance of having the alternate source of energy and start seeking assistance to the other nation, then get supported by European Union, and the assessment began by then. In 2012, if I'm not mistaken, this assessment began and by help of European Union, and in 2017 they come up with this conclusion after assessment being done. The proposed site for the investment of solar power and wind energy are these, as you see here in diagram. There is first one Makunduchi, Matemwe, Bambi, Vitongoji, and Muambe. And here, as we see in our map, the first location proposed for solar energy investment is at here Makunduchi, that found in southern part of Unguja. Then there is a Bambi here that found at central part of Unguja. Then there is a Matemo that found on the northern part of Unguja. Also, when we come up to Pemba Island, there are two proposed sites that are suitable for investment of solar power. One found at here near Kengeja, and the second Vitongoji found near Chake. Those five are proposed sites for the solar power investment. There are some institutes in Zanzibar now who utilize this solar power system. The first one is Karume Institute of Science and Technology that have been installed solar power. As we see here, they are using solar power to supply in their university. Also, they have solar dryer that contains solar panel. As we see here, 3 panel that used to pressurize heat through fans, and then produce the heat. That heat produced used for drying fruit, also for drying vegetable, and etc. And this installed technology here is the example of on-grid solar photovoltaic system, whereby the rest of energy is connected to the national grid. Also, there is Hoteli Verde that found in Zanzibar, owned by Mr. Said Salim Bakhresa, also already now installed the solar power system, as here we see, but Mr. Bakhresa only used the off-grid solar power system, so it doesn't connect it to the national grid. And this assessment done in Zanzibar, whereby Zanzibar town, about 29% of households use kerosene for lighting, and 70% of houses use electricity from national grid. But the rural area are vice versa, whereby 84% use kerosene and only 15% use electricity. Through that, we see there is a need of transporting or of establishing this clean technology to the rural area, because most of them do not have access to electricity, as we see here in our table, whereby not a number of households with access to the solar power system is only 0.49, and numbers of households that do not have the access to solar power is about 9.2 to 80. By total, we have only access of 4.114 and 42.25 do not have access of solar power. But also in Public Health Unit Center, they also installed the solar power system, whereby in North Unguja, about 9 hospitals have installed the solar power, and this used for lighting, and other hospital use this solar power as a backup when there is cut down of national grid supply. Also in education sector for Zanzibar in North A, we have around 36 schools that have access to solar power, and North B around 24 schools, Central around 55 schools, Micheweni around 32 schools, and Guane around 34 schools. So here we have just seen possibly to reach bigger in terms of solar power energy. Also, there are some challenging face Zanzibar in this energy sector. The first challenge is shortage of human resource and training, whereby first we have to know in the whole Tanzania, there is only one university that offers bachelor degree of renewable energy engineering. This shows that we are not well trained, or we are not well knowledge in terms of renewable resource. So we have to increase number of university. We have to increase number of colleges. Also, we have to increase number of training so as to ensure we have well-knowledge population in our world. Also, there is a highly initial cost during investment of solar power. As we know, when we connected the energy from water, because we are depending from water, Tanzania, it almost costs around $200. But when you want to invest or you want to initiate the solar, it is very, very costful during the beginning. But after beginning, it is less costful. Also, we have problems. We know we are mostly African, have problem of community awareness. Also, we have problem of low level of research and development. Also, we have poor and unfriendly institution framework. We have poor coordination, so we have to increase our coordination in order to reach a goal. Also, I recommend to the world what we should have is to have the smart infrastructure. All our things that we are doing, we have to do in a technical way, or we have to do in smart technology. Also, we should have the smart governance, this by formulating policy, plan, strategies, and others. And unfortunately, Zanzibar, we do not have energy strategy. Also, we have the policy of 2009 that need to be reviewed. So for that, we have to increase our governance by formulating a good policy. Also, to have good system of living and smart mobility. When we are constructing our road, we should construct our road that are climatic resilient. Also, we have to have smart technology. Through that, we will have actually sustainable development. By concluding my presentation, what we need, actually we need a reliable source of energy. Also, at the same time, we are preserving the environment, we are conserving them and protect. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. So before moving forward to the vote of thanks, we would like to show you a video of our sponsor, Ranger. Now, I request Mr. Zarnesh Kanodia to appraise this gathering with his vote of thanks. Mr. Zarnesh Kanodia works as a scientific officer at Nanoland. He is a postgraduate in climate change impacts management from School of Science, Gujarat University. Zarnesh is mainly focused on research generally associated with paleoclimate, biodiversity, glaciers, and climatic wildlife. I now request him to deliver a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Jalashri. Good evening, everyone. I, on behalf of Nanoland and the entire fraternity of organization, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all speakers for gracing our important work and sharing with us your findings and opinion today on solar energy, ideas, innovation, and economy. It was surely an informative one. I might want to say thanks to Dr. Rajesh Kumar Acharya, our scientific advisor at Nanoland, for welcoming our speakers and organizing this webinar, which is no doubt a visionary attempt. Dr. Acharya's vision and dream has helped Nanoland to become what it is today. Coming out with such an adroit idea to educate people about solar energy and its application was obviously a reverent decision. I would like to extend my appreciation to Dr. Bela Talwar, Chair, USIIC, for conveying such a proactive speech and presentation on solar energy, economic benefits, history of solar energy, power of sun, innovation, use innovation in other countries, and use of solar power in globally. Her essence has set an ideal platform for our speakers to start this webinar on an engaging note. Next, I mention a deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Bharat Maitreya, Professor, Department of Botany, Bioinformatics, and Climate Change Impact Management, University School of Science, Gujarat University, for conferring us the information on solar energy, active and passive solar, the electromagnetic spectrum, basic principles of solar energy, sun's energy, facts and figures, concluding by importance of solar energy. Further, we are grateful to Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Vice President, CLP India. Mr. Kumar gave a wonderful and significant presentation on transition of renewable energy coming into scene from non-renewable and explained the factors shaping the solar factor, for example, regulations, economic and political, technology and applications, current status of solar energy in India. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Mr. Pushparai Mishra, visiting faculty, Pandit Ravishankar, Shukla University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, for delivering such a breathtaking presentation on setting up the installation of solar panels, application of solar energy and its different types, benefit of solar power plant, and main phases of solar PV plant, clearly explaining the concept. Now, I wish to express my gratitude to Ms. Supriya, Project Engineer, National Institute of Solar Energy, Gurgaon, for delivering such a magnificent presentation on pre and post tender service, supply, associated cost, O&M cost, humidity effect spectrum, diagnosing of low power production. Lastly, I would like to thank Mr. Uthman Buran, Environmental Officer, Department of Environment, Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, who spoke on solar power systems and technology, explaining basics of solar energy, global energy status of energy sector in Zanzibar, and ended it while sharing his in-depth knowledge. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to LD College of Engineering and Xavier Research Foundation for organizing this webinar and making it a success. In the end, I would like to thank our participants who have patiently been a good audience all through the webinar and without whom this online webinar would not have been possible. Much appreciated a lot of everyone. Taking everything into account, I would thank all of the individuals who have upheld us directly or indirectly in the smooth working of this webinar till the end. We are looking forward for such webinars in future too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zarnesh. In closing, I wish to express my gratitude to all the panelists and participants for their full cooperation. It offers me a chance to commemorate our success in pursuing excellence in the field of science. We are privileged to have here in attendance such a distinguished experts as well as observers, having such a resourceful and knowledgeable advisories which have helped us to gain insight, such an invaluable insights about solar energy. With this, we sum up our session. Wish everyone to stay home and stay safe. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.